Welcome. Today's session will focus on strengthening the back muscles and releasing any tension that you might be holding in that back area. We're going to start by coming into a seated position on our mat, and if you have a meditation cushion or a blanket, I suggest you grab it. We're going to do a little centering and just get in touch with our breath. So pause the video if you need to, but come down into a comfortable seated position. Let's close down the eyes and bring the hands on top of the thighs, palms facing up or down, whatever is your preference. And just before we do anything to change the breath, we just want to check into where the breath is in our body. Making sure that we feel comfortable in this seated position. If crossing the legs isn't an option for you, have them outstretched if that feels more comfortable. Just choosing the position that is right for your body. You may notice that the breath is shallow and short and located mostly in the upper region of the chest. And if that's the case, I just want you to take a deep exhalation. So engaging those stomach muscles to push the air from the base of the lungs up and out of the body through the nose. And then taking a slow inhalation with a focus on drawing the breath all the way down to the base of the lungs. So you feel the belly expand as the breath enters. And then again, engaging a full exhalation. Keep the breath slow and steady. But with every full exhalation, we create space in the body for a full inhalation. And on the next inhalation, I'd like you to count the length of the inhalation and then match the exhalation to that same length. So you might be inhaling for a count of 2 or 3 or possibly 4, and then you exhale for the exact same count. So we're engaging our samavriti breath here, our even breath, where our inhalation is the same length as our exhalation. If you find that your mind is beginning to wander during this practice, you can do the count to keep your mind focused. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, exhaling 3, 2, 1. Just mentally staying with the breath. Noticing on your inhalations the body expanding and the breath entering. And noticing on the exhalation the gentle contraction of the body in the torso region to push that air out through the nose. Complete 3 more rounds of the Samavriti breath. And on the third exhalation, just let the breath return to normal. Keeping the eyes closed and the breathing a little slower than possibly when we first began. We're just going to listen for all the sounds that we can hear that are around us. And we're not putting a label on these sounds, but rather recognizing that we hear it and then moving on to hear the next sound. Beautiful. Gently open the eyes. If you were sitting on a blanket or a meditation cushion, move that out of the way. And then come to laying down on the mat in a semi-supine position. So we want the knees bent, we want the feet hip-width distance apart, and no closer than a hand's width distance to the buttocks. So you can bring your hand down to just check into the alignment of your feet. We're then going to relax the hands down by the side of the body. And we're going to move into Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, which in yoga is the ultimate psoas stretch. So we're going to take an inhalation, and on the exhalation we're going to extend the right leg out along the mat. Then we're going to inhale, and on the exhalation we're going to raise the right leg to about 30 degrees. Inhale. On the exhalation, we're going to raise the right leg to about 60. So it should be in alignment with the left thigh. Inhale, and then exhale and bring that right leg all the way up to a 90-degree angle. So the foot is pointing to the ceiling. The sole of the foot is pointing to the ceiling. Holding there, we're going to take an inhalation, and then on the exhalation, we're going to lower that right leg back down to meet the left. Inhale, and then exhale, lowering back down to 30. Inhale, and exhale all the way down till you're about an inch off the mat. Holding here, we're then going to take an inhalation, and on the exhalation, we're going to raise that right leg back to 30 degrees. So you'll notice that we're always raising the leg on the exhalation. So keep doing that. Inhale, exhale, the leg should come all the way up now to our 90 degrees. Continue to ground down through the shoulders, continue to ground down through the hips. Exhale, lower the right leg to meet the left, coming to our 60 degrees. Exhale, lower the right leg to 30 degrees. Exhale, lower the right leg down to about an inch off the mat. We're going to do this one more time. Inhale, exhale, raising the leg to 30. Inhale, exhale, raising the right leg to 60. Inhale, exhale, raising the right leg all the way to 90. We want to continue to ground down through that left foot. Now we're going to come down, and this is going to be the final time on the right side. So exhale, lowering the right leg to 60 degrees. Exhale, lowering the right leg down to 30. And on the exhalation, we're going to lower the right leg all the way down to just about an inch off the mat, and then I want you to check and see how you're going with that perception. Hold it there for a full inhalation. Exhale, release the right leg down, relax the whole body. Bend the right knee to meet the left and extend the left leg out along the mat. Take a nice deep inhalation, and on the exhalation we're going to raise the left leg to 30 degrees. Inhale, and on the exhalation raise the left leg to 60 degrees. Continue to ground down through the shoulders, through the hips. On the exhalation, raise the left leg all the way up so the sole of the foot is pointing to the ceiling, keeping the foot flexed during our up practice. Exhale, lowering the left leg to 60, even closing down the eyes. Inhale and then exhale, lowering the left leg to 30. Lowering the left leg all the way down to the mat so that you're about an inch off the mat. And just check here to see how you're going with your left leg. And if you're not an inch, move the left leg so that you are. Inhale, and then exhale, raise that left leg back to 30. On the exhalation, raise the left leg to 60, so it's in alignment with the right thigh. Exhale, raising that left leg all the way to the ceiling. Now following your own breath, so we're going to do this another 2 times. So we're on our last round now with the left leg. Exhale, lowering to 60. Exhale, lowering to 30. Exhale, lowering to an inch off the mat, and just check again to see how your level of perception of awareness is going with the space. Exhale, release the left leg all the way down to the mat. Extend the right leg out, and now we're going to do both of them at the same time. So if you have general weakness in your lower back, you may want to do this with your knees bent, which is perfectly fine. So raising them to 30, raising them to 60, and then raising them all the way up. If you know that you've got a pretty good abdominal strength and lower back strength, you can join me in doing the double leg raise lift. So taking a full inhalation, exhale, raising to 30. On the next exhalation, raising to 60. On the next exhalation, raising to 90. Lowering back down on the exhalation to 60. To 30. To all the way down. One more time. Take a full inhalation. On the exhalation, grounding down through the shoulders. Press down with the hands, lifting to 30. Lifting to 60 on the exhalation. You may notice your legs beginning to shake. That's okay. Coming all the way back up to 90. Exhale to 60. Exhale to 30. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Fantastic. Take a full inhalation. And on the exhalation, let's hug those knees into the chest. Gentle rock of the lower spine. Rocking side to side. And then taking the hands over the kneecaps. Inhale, let the knees move away from the body, extending the arms to straight. Moving into Apanasana, our wind releasing pose. On the exhalation, we're going to draw those knees into the chest. Inhale, let the knees move away. Exhale, draw the knees into the chest. Inhale, knees move away. Exhale, knees come into the chest. And this time we're going to give them a nice big squeeze, again rocking side to side. And then we're going to cross the ankles over, take a hold of behind the thighs, and just a rock again along the spine of the back, coming all the way up into a seated position. Extend the legs out onto the mat, ground down through the sit bones, sitting up nice and tall, Moving into Dandasana, toes and kneecaps pointing toward the ceiling, having, a sense that a string is lifting you up. So the crown of the head is nice and straight, the back is nice and straight as well. On the exhalation, we're going to draw that right knee, bend the right knee, draw the right foot in, and then step the right foot over the left. On the exhalation, we're going to swing that left leg round, but only if we can maintain contact with both sit bones on the mat. So if you've realised that bringing the left heel around to meet the right hip has lifted that right sit bone, you want to ground back down through that sit bone and extend that left leg out, which is fine. We can come into the twist with that left leg extended. But for those who can bring that left heel round to sit next to the right sit bone, that's fine. Inhale to lift up. Exhale, wrapping the left arm around the right leg and bringing the right hand to behind the right hip. Inhale to lift. Exhale to rotate around to the right. Inhale to lift. Exhale, coming round to the right. And when you feel as though you've come into your Ardha Matseyendrasana rotation as much as you can, then turn the gaze to look all the way over that right shoulder. Continue to draw the breath down into the base of the lungs. Continue to lift up through the crown of the head. One more inhalation. And then exhale to face all the way forward. Extend both legs out along the mat, coming back into Dandasana, grounding down through the sit bones, sitting up nice and tall. On the exhalation, we're going to bend the left knee and bring the left heel in toward the left sit bone. Then we're going to step the left leg over the right. And again on this side, if you can bend the right knee and bring the right foot around to the left sit bone, do so long as you're still grounding down through both sit bones. If not, extend that right leg back out. We're going to inhale facing to the front. We're going to wrap the right arm around the left leg this time and bring the left hand behind the left hip. We're going to inhale to lift, exhale to rotate around to the left. Inhale to lift, exhale to rotate. And when you feel as though you've come as far as you can on the left-hand side, then bring the gaze to look over the left shoulder, so long as that's comfortable for your neck. Inhale, exhale. Take one more full inhalation, drawing the breath down into the base of the lungs. And then on the exhalation, come back to facing forward. Extend both the legs out, coming back into Dandasana. This time we're going to bring a little bend into the knees. We're going to sit up nice and tall and move into Paschimottanasana, which is our forward stretch, but a stretch for our back. So we're inhaling to lift, and on the exhalation, we're hinging at the hips and coming forward. You bring the hands down alongside the legs. Inhale to lift. Exhale. Hinging at the hips. So we're leading with the chest, not with the shoulders. So keeping the shoulders back and down away from the ears. Inhale to lift, and on the exhalation is when we begin to fold forward. So the chest is coming down onto the thighs. When you feel like you've come far enough forward to take a hold of the toes, please do so. And again, Paschimottanasana doesn't need to be a rigid pose. It can be fluid, so you can move into it on your inhalations and your exhalations. It's a back stretch. So it's a stretch for the posterior of the body. So don't be afraid to move while we're in Paschimottanasana so that you get that release in the back. If you feel like you can come far enough forward and take your hands around the balls of your feet, please do so. Inhale to lift and exhale to hinge at those hips. And then if you feel like you can actually take the bend out of the knees, even only slightly, do so. But the focus here is not a hamstring stretch. So if you're feeling a stretch in the hamstrings, keep a bend in the knee. On the next exhalation, we're going to close down the eyes and really fold into our forward fold. So let the head come down, round through the shoulders now. Close down the eyes and begin practicing pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses. So start to turn your attention inwards and listen in to what your body is currently telling you. Notice the sensations in your body, the energy. Forward folds are wonderful at calming the mind. On the next inhalation, gently start to roll all the way back up to seated. Coming up vertebra by vertebra, letting the head be the final piece to come up. And then gently open up the eyes. Bring the feet together now into Baddha Konasana. Interlace the fingers, take a hold of the base of the toes. And just ease those knees down to the mat. Lift the chest through the arms. And then let's take the legs behind us and come over onto hands and knees, Bharmanasana. So we're setting up into tabletop position. We're grounding down through the hands. Fingers are spread wide. Index fingers are pointing toward the top of the mat. The arms are shoulder width distance and the wrists are stacked beneath the shoulders. We're then checking in with the legs and making sure that the knees are stacked beneath the hips and that the legs are hip width distance apart. We're going to move into Bitilasana and Marjaryasana, starting with Marjaryasana, our cat pose. On the exhalation, we're going to round up through the shoulders, round up through the back, tuck the tail, and the gaze is going to come down to between the knees. On the inhalation, we're going to reverse the movement, dip the spine, lift the chest, lift the tailbone. Exhale, moving into our cat pose. Inhale, moving into our cow pose. So the gaze shouldn't come any higher than the top of the mat. Let's do 3 more rounds of our cat-cow Chaturanga. Let the breath guide you. When you've finished your final cow, come back into your Bharmanasana pose, your tabletop position. So grounding down through the hands here, we're going to ground down through the left hand, and on the inhalation, we're going to lift the right hand all the way up to the ceiling. And then on the exhalation, we're going to sweep that right hand all the way underneath the body and come laying down onto our shoulder and our right hand. Bring the head down onto the mat. We're coming into our thread the needle pose here.
So relax down into this pose. Gentle stretch of the back. Continue to breathe. And then on the inhalation, ground down through the left hand. Lift the right arm all the way back up to the ceiling. And then release the right hand back down to the mat. Ground down through the right hand and lift the left all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale, sweep the left arm underneath the body and come laying down onto the left shoulder, left arm, and bring the head down onto the mat as well. Closing down the eyes in our Parsva Balasana. Thread the needle. Taking 2 more breaths here. And then on the next inhalation, grounding down through the right hand, lifting the body up, taking the left hand all the way up to the ceiling, and then exhaling the left hand all the way back down onto the mat. From here, we're going to come down onto our forearms, extend our arms all the way up to the top of our mat, and coming into puppy pose. So a good stretch for the upper back, bringing the forehead down onto the mat. And if you would like to, you can bend the elbows, bring the hands together into the Anjali hand mudra or prayer position. Exhale, release the hands down to the mat and slowly walk them back in as you come all the way up onto your knees. Sitting up nice and tall on the knees. If you do have sore knees, grab a blanket and place the blanket underneath the knees for a bit of extra added padding. Take the hands to the back, fingertips pointing down toward the buttocks. Hug the elbows in toward one another and press those hips forward. Coming into a gentle back bend here. Chest lifts toward the ceiling. Gaze comes up to the ceiling as well. Take a few deep breaths, really driving those thighs forward. Coming into Ustrasana, camel pose. On the exhalation, you can extend the hands down to the heels of the feet, so tuck the toes. Bring the hands down to the heels. If this is too much, you can come back into this variation where the hands are just on the lower part of the back. If you are coming into the next version of Ustrasana where the hands are on the heels, lifting the chest, driving those hips forward, driving those thighs forward. Release the head down. Keep breathing. Those with the head back, lift the head on an inhalation. Now engage the core and lift out of Ustrasana in one movement. Excellent. Release the feet to the mat, take the knees wide, connect the two big toes And then bring the sit bones down onto the heels. Extend the arms out in front of you, coming into Utthita Balasana, extended child's pose. Bring the head down onto the mat. And this is a counter pose for Ustrasana, so this helps release the lower back. Inhale, coming back up into our tabletop position. And then extending the legs behind us, coming up onto the balls of our feet into our plank. So checking in with the alignment of the body, the weight of the body should be forward. The shoulders should be stacked above the wrists. The hands should be grounding down into the mat. We should be pressing into the tops of our toes, keeping a lift in our hips. We're just going to do a couple of gentle Chaturanga Dandasanas, nice and slow. We're going to exhale, bend the elbows, lowering all the way down to the mat. We're going to release the feet, bring the hands underneath underneath the shoulders, tuck the elbows in. Inhale, lift the chest, press the tops of the feet down into the mat, so the knees lift as well. Moving into Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Pressing down through the hands, tucking the toes, and lifting all the way back up into plank. We're just going to do this one more time. So grounding down through the hands. Exhale, bend the elbows, hug the arms into the sides of the body and lowering all the way down. Chaturanga Dandasana. Release the feet to the mat. Inhale, hug the elbows in, lift the chest, press the tops of the feet into the mat. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Release the hands alongside the body, turn the head to one side and just take a little breath. And then our last pose. Bring the legs and the feet together. Bring the gaze to the mat. We're going to do the arms first, then the legs, then the whole pose. So moving into Shalabasana, Locust pose. We're going to inhale, point the fingertips to the back of our mat. Palms are facing toward the midline of the body. Exhale, lowering down. On the next inhalation, we're going to lift the legs and point the toes all the way to the back of the mat. Grounding down through our hips. Exhale, lowering down. We're now going to bring those two movements together. So checking in with your breath. Take a nice inhalation. And on the exhalation, we're going to lift the chest, lift the arms, lift the legs. Take one full breath here. And exhale, lowering all the way down. Turn your head to the opposite side and completely release into the mat. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Press up into Bharmanasana. Come back to sitting on your legs. Extend the legs out in front. And then we're slowly going to lower down all the way into Savasana. So bringing the hands up at shoulder height, palms facing toward one another. On the exhalation, we're going to slowly lower all the way down to the mat. Engaging the abdominals. Following the breath. And once we're down on the mat, we're going to bring the hands alongside the body, extend the legs out if that's comfortable for your back, otherwise bend the knees. Take the feet wide on the mat and let the knees rest into one another. Setting up for our Shavasana. So choosing any pose here that is comfortable as you're lying. So if you need to have the legs extended, arms alongside the body, and that's comfortable for you, do that. If you need the knees bent, do that. Find your level of comfort. And take a few moments to let the body rest. Maybe you'd even like a bolster underneath your knees. Or you can roll up the blanket and use that. Closing down the eyes and letting the whole body release down into the mat. And as you come down into Shavasana and invite some stillness into the body, you now have an opportunity to go inward again. And just notice all of the sensations that are arising in your body following our practice. Perhaps you can feel the energy moving through your legs and arms. Maybe you can also feel it in your chest and in your back. And as you notice your breath beginning to slow, bringing awareness to where the breath is sitting in the body now. Is your natural breath a little deeper than when we first started? Has your mind quietened just a little? How do your muscles feel? Just taking time to let the whole body relax. Notice how your body feels in this position. Noticing the parts of your body that are in contact with the mat. And then taking your attention to the sounds that you can hear around you.
On the next inhalation, gently extending the right arm up and over your head. And rolling over onto your right side. And taking a moment here, letting the body adjust. And then slowly pushing yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And bringing the hands together at heart center into the Anjali hand mudra. Keeping the eyes closed. Take a full deep inhalation and feel the chest as it expands into the hands. The heart center of the chest meeting the heart hands. And gently bow your head to your fingertips. And take a moment to feel gratitude. Gratitude not only for this practice, but gratitude for your mind, your body, and your spirit. And I invite you to join me in closing the class with the words Om Shanti, which mean go in peace. Om Shanti. Thank you, my friends.